Hello everyone, and in this video we are going to learn how to create this 3D tilt hover effect. So you could see there's like a lot more options. This looks like this. There's like a 3D parallax effect that you could make, and one of it I found in CodePen, which looks like this. You can see it looks very cool, right? It's like a 3D effect that shows up. This is not what we are going to make, but I'm just going to show you how to do this 3D effect, in which you could just place like elements a bit above and down, something like that. Then we can also add a glare effect. You could see it's like this shiny effect. So maybe if you're selling like cars or anything, then you could add this effect. Then there is no reset, where if I remove my mouse outside, it stays in that location. You could see it does not get reset. Then we can also add scale and reverse. So you could see that this one gets scaled and it's also reversed. For example, if you compare it to this one, if I move my mouse in the bottom left, you could see that the card's this point is actually pointing towards my mouse. But if you look around here, you would see that I'm actually pushing it away from me. Then we can also do only x-axis, so that when I move up and down it does nothing, but only x-axis. And obviously you could reverse it. Then y-axis, and then the last one is full page. So basically, even though I am doing my mouse around here, you could see it acts like this page. You could see very slight movement if I do like only this much, but if I go to this corner, this corner, this corner, or this corner, you could see it is very harsh. And you could see I've written here full page and gyroscope or gyroscope mobile. Basically it means that if you are using mobile phone and if you turn your phone, then it will automatically move based on how you're turning your phone. So that's one cool effect that you could do, and it is not limited to only this much. If you go in here and click check all code options here and click in this button, it takes you to this page, which is a GitHub. You don't have to worry about anything else except these options. Each one of them has an options like reverse, max. This is just what I have also used, but it gives like a good idea of what you can use for this one, and I'll explain each one of them and we will start making. So let's get started. So I'm just going to make it in this page. This is a template that you could get. It's a free template if you want to like test it out, if you want to see how it works and all. And code would also be in description in my blog page. And you could see if you get this template, then I have like number 1 code, number 2, number 3, number 4, like this for each one of them, and then again like for each one of them. Ideally you would not have like this, okay? You would not have like 4 different ones. You would only have one of it, and it just would be applied to every single element that you want the tilt effect to work on, simply because to keep consistency. But in this one I have kept it like this simply because I wanted to showcase, right, everything and how it works. So let's get started. For this we are using tilt.js, right? So you could see if we go to tilt.js, this is how it looks. This is their site. There's a lot more stuff, but if you go to this tilt.js website, it actually shows in jQuery, and I'm not familiar with it, but we can actually search for vanilla tilt.js, or basically this page is vanilla tilt.js, and we use that option to make it because this uses JavaScript and this uses jQuery, and I'm familiar with JavaScript, so I'm doing this way. And you could see all the effect that they have also added. It's everything that I've done, and you could even do some stuff like this. So let's just close this one. First you need to search for vanilla tilt.js and probably search for like CDN or something, and then CDN.js, just click on here. On the first one, click in the middle icon, go to your page like this. So let me just do some sizing for time being, like 500. Add an HTML widget and then paste it. Okay, so when you copy this is what gets pasted, and as soon as you add this, the vanilla tilt.js would start working on your page. You only need to add it once. So you could see I have added around here, but you only need to add it once. But let's just keep it right now. Now I'm just going to copy this one. You could create like any container however you want to style it. I'm just going to copy this one. So this is how this page looks. I've basically just copied it, and then we will give it a CSS class. So you could give it anything, 3D tilt tutorial or something. Okay, let's just copy this. I'm going to go into my HTML widget. In here I'll type script like this. And in our script we just need to type like very simple JavaScript. Just type constant. So constant, then we type dm, I guess, tilt tutorial. Whatever you want to type, you can type it there. Just don't add any dash or anything, because we are in JavaScript, right? We do not do dash because that's like saying minus, because in JavaScript we could do some calculations. And make sure that if you capitalize anything, to then also use the same capitalization in future. Then we will type document. So we are saying in our document, query selector all, and then do open bracket, quotation mark, and this stuff, and add your CSS class inside of this one. Okay, so we just type constant dm tilt tutorial. You could name anything here, then do document, query selector all. We do all because in case you have multiple, you would type all. So we do not need to do loop in JavaScript in this case, because vanilla, like the tilt.js have already made it in a way that it does the loop for us, so we can just do it very easily. So I just copied it around here so that it's easy to see instead of in this small screen. All you simply need to type right now is vanilla with V capital, then T capital, vanilla tilt dot initialize, which is dot init, open bracket, and then just paste this stuff, which is TM tutorial, like this, to comma, open curly brackets, open close curly brackets, and do enter, and then just do this stuff. So we did very basic. We type constant, we created a label, and then we set in our document, select all of the stuff which has the CSS classes, dm tilt tutorial. Then we did vanilla tilt initialize, and then we selected this one because this one has all the tilt, all our CSS class which has the tilt. And then we basically add all our effect around here. So all these effects are based on this stuff, which is options and all. Most common thing that you would type is max, and max is basically how much degree it should rotate when you move your mouse on it. So let's say I do 30, then 30 would be the max degree it would rotate. And then I'll type speed, and speed is basically I think it would be easy to see if I copy paste it in here, and then where's it, I'm just going to replace around here, and let's see. So this is how it looks, and you could see it's working perfectly. And the speed is when I move my mouse inside of this, how much time it takes to do this effect. Basically, if I make this to, let's say 200, basically means like 0.2 seconds or 200 milliseconds. If I want to do, let's say 20 seconds, so I did 20,000, and then let's see how. And you could see it takes 20 seconds to actually get till top. It's not much. You might think like it's not taking 20 seconds, it's a bit faster, but no, it's actually taking 20 seconds. It's just a bit faster at the start, and then it's basically the speed when you like move your mouse in and move your mouse out, where it goes to its like initial location and then this location. So for example, if you go in here and then look around, it says speed of the enter exit transition. Now I have max set to 30. If we do 90, it's going to just be like crazy high. It's not going to look good because 90 degrees basically going to make it be parallel to us. You could see it makes like no sense. It's also like glitching a lot. So keep it simple, like 30. Then I'll type perspective. Perspective basically shows the how much the 3D effect should happen. If you go in here, it says, you see, perspective transform, the lower the value, the more extreme the tilt gets. If I keep it like, let's say 500, if I go in here, you could see that the tilt effect is a lot more. The lower the value, the harsher the tilt. So if you use some higher value, it would look nicer. Then we will worry about glare. I would teach this at the end because it would take just a few more seconds, but I think this one we can learn at the end, and then learn the smaller stuff first. So this glare basically means that every time I move my mouse at the bottom, it would give like this sunshine effect. So probably light is at the top and then placing from like stuff around here, I guess. It's very easy to do. First thing first, you need to type glare and then set it to true. And after typing glare true to comma enter, go in here and then copy this part because it's faster to copy paste, and do max glare like this. And 0 to 1 is basically the opacity. So 1 is basically saying that full opacity. So 0.5 would be half, or 0.8 would be like 80% opacity or something. So right now you could see this is how the glare effect looks. If I, let's say, make this to be, let's say, 50, let's see what would happen. So you could see that I did change this to 50, but it's not doing like crazy effect. So it's good to keep it between like 0 to 1. So if you do 0.5, it's going to be like 50% opacity. You could see it's now like much more subtle. One more thing to keep in mind, that when you use the code, make sure to get reference from this one instead of like this website, because this one uses jQuery, and some of the stuff, like you could see, it is not in quotation mark, it's in like normal one like this. So some of the stuff in like jQuery version is different, so make sure you do not use that as a reference, but use these values as a reference. Then we will learn how to do like no reset, which is like very simple. We just go in here, type comma, and do reset is false, and you could see now it does not get reset. Next, if we type comma and do scale, 1 is basically saying like no scaling, but if I do 1.1, it's going to scale a bit. For this example, I've done 1.2, and you could see it's so higher. So you could do like 1.05 or 1.1, something like this, and it gives like a bit scaling effect, which is cool, right? Then if you type reverse true, you could see that now we can reverse it, but it's a bit annoying because sometimes it just does this buggy effect, you could see. So you have to move your mouse like a lot in instead of keeping it at the edge like this. Then if you want to do only on x-axis, we type axis, in quotation mark we type x. So right now it would be axis x, and it should only do in the x-axis. And you could say if I do up and down, nothing happens, but if I do left and right, it works. One more thing to keep in mind, even if I duplicate now this multiple times, it's still going to work without any issues, because we used query selector all and not just one. And you could see it works like this. It's way too big right now because of like this. If I hide this, we can actually see the actual size. So let's just keep it the basic one, and I'm just going to delete the second one. But just keep in mind that it's very easy to do all that stuff, to like duplicate, and just make sure all of the stuff that you want to have tilt should have the same CSS class. So it doesn't have to be same element, but you could, anything that has the same CSS class would do the tilt effect. And obviously axis Y would change it, it will make it go from up and down. We have full page animation. So basically if we go to this page again and we search for full page listening, and if I copy this, paste it in here, and then turn this false into true like this, so full page listening true. I accidentally added like a quotation mark at the end, so just because I added like a one single quotation mark, the whole code stopped working. So you have to keep in mind to not do any mistakes like this. And you could say it works nicely. If I go top right, top left, it just works and create like a cool effect that you want. And then we have gyroscope, and it's hard to show. I don't know how to show it, but if you are in your mobile and then if you use this code, then you would basically be able to just turn your mobile and it would automatically work. All you simply need to do is type gyroscope true, and then there's like minimum angle, maximum angle, and all this stuff. I don't know what this does, gyroscope sample, but basically all you simply need to do is copy this much. That's literally what I've done. So for this one, I have went in here and basically just pasted all this stuff and added like max and speed around here. Some of the stuff that I didn't show in here is like easing. Easing is basically, let's say if you have a car around here and it's going around here like this in a left to right fashion, let's say it takes like 3 seconds to go from left to right. Easing basically decides how the speed should go. So if it was linear speed, then it would take 3 seconds with equal amount of speed without speeding up or slowing down. It would be consistent speed for the 3 seconds, but based on what you use around here, sometimes it might speed up at first and then slow down at the end, or it would be slow at the end and go fast at the end. And if you go to a site and then just search for cubic bezier or anything, it allows you to like create this code. It's very basic. It's very basic, so usually you would not need any easing for case like this. I don't know mouse event element does. It could be something like this where it shows like where the mouse is or anything. So not sure, never used it, but again we did learn most of the stuff in here. Now this thing that we want that I want to show is 3D. Like for 3D, it's a bit different. The approach is similar, but just we need to do one extra step. So instead in here, we need to do this stuff and then do style so that we could add some CSS styling. So this is a way to add custom CSS without having Elementor Pro. So even if you do not have Elementor Pro, you could just use HTML widget and then use style like this to add CSS. But if you are planning to buy Elementor Pro, then consider using the link in description to support me. You could even go and register on like the Elementor website after clicking my link, and then it would give you access to like lots of this templates and all, because once you're registered, it allows you to use like free templates. And if you like register after using my link, it still supports me. I don't get commission until you buy something, but at least I get like a registration or something. So let's just do some stuff. So let's do DM 3D till tutorial, because that's the CSS class that we want this, because that's the CSS class of our container like this. And here we need to type transform style preserve 3D like this. So when you do this stuff, so this parent container, right? This is the parent container, right? So we need to do preserve 3D in transform style. Now we need to make each of this element place a bit higher or closer to us, because right now we are working in 3D space, right? And we want to move this one closer to us, this text also closer to us. So to control that, we need to actually give CSS class to all our elements. I'm going to call it as 3D image or something like this. DM 3D image. I'll call this as DM 3D heading, and I'll call this as DM 3D subheading. Now I can go in here and type .dm 3D img, and here I could type transform translate, and I could type just Z, but I wouldn't suggest doing that, but I'll start with doing just this much and show what it does. So I'll do translate Z 50 pixels just for the image, right? And nothing else. So let's do preview. If I go down, you could see that the image is now 50 pixels above, but you could also see one more thing. This is how the image was supposed to look, but in here it does not look like that. And the reason is simple, because this image is a bit closer to us, and you know that anything that is closer to us is going to be bigger, and then it would be zoomed in. I wish we could have seen it like directly around here, but for some reason it does not show. It should have shown. Just adding this code should have made this bigger, but I think in Elementor editor it just does not work, so you kind of have to guess around. But you could see that now it works like 3D. This is like hovering on top of it like this. Here's the thing, we now need to make this image a bit smaller. So let's say if I make 5 pixels smaller by adding some padding and then do preview, you kind of have to guess around and then do preview changes to find something that works. So let's say this works, but you could see the top part is not accurate. The top distance is not accurate, which is why I don't use transform Z. What I like to use is translate 3D like this, and then you type all three values. So you type X value, X is left and right, Y is up and down, and Z is closer to you or farther to you. So first one is X-axis. So if I do 0 pixels, it's no changes with X-axis. 0 pixels, which is also like no changes with Y-axis, and do 50 pixels, then we are going to get the same result that we have around here. So you could see we already got the same result. Now what I want to do is I want to move this up and down, right? So I want this to be a bit lower. So what I can do is I can go into the XYZ property. So I want to change Y, right? Up and down. If I do 5 pixels, it's going to be a bit below. It looks a bit weird around here, but as long as it works in this page, it's good. I'm not sure why it does not show around here. I'm kind of confused about it, but now you could say it works. So what I've done is I've moved it a bit below to kind of give it the illusion that it is not illusion, but make it look like it is like perfectly aligned, and the gap is perfectly aligned like this. And you could say it now works nicely, looks good. So that is the same stuff that we have to do for each of the elements. So I'll type DM 3D heading. Let's just copy this much. Let's do preview. Sorry, let's copy the subhead. Let's do it for subheading too, and then paste it around here. Now I'm going to make this 0 and 0 for x and y. So x, y 0, x, y 0, because it is just based on your what you call, it is based on the design and all. So we need to actually see how it looks first. So you could see now it is at equal distance. If I make this to be, let's say 100, and let's say I make this to be 80, then this one would be closer to us, this one would be next, and this one would be next. Go down, and let's see. Now you could see that they are now a bit not aligned like this. So this one is closer to us, then it's this one, and then this is then the image one like this. But you could see it's now not looking perfect. So I know that I have to move my text top right. So we can do is I can move my heading like -5 pixels on top, and then -5 pixels for the heading too. But it is also dependent on what perspective you have used. So right now let's see how this looks. So I think it looks okay. We still need to do like more changes, so it still needs to go a bit more higher. So let me just do -10 and see. And you could see you would still need to play around with it until you figure something out that works. You could obviously go in here and then do margin too. So do like negative margin. So maybe I've added like 20 margins, so maybe I just do 10 and then remove this, or let's just keep it like this. And you could just play around with the values until you find something that works. But keep in mind that it is also dependent on the perspective. So if I make this to be 200, this is how it looks at the 1000, right? So you could check this one and let's see how it looks at 2000. And you would see it is a bit different. It is a bit above, I think, automatically, or maybe because I changed the code, but it is very much dependent on your perspective too. So if I do 500, then you would see that suddenly the values, even though they were looking nicer, now they look a bit different. So just keep in mind, based on the perspective, it is also going to have different text like location or this stuff. So you need to play around with it a lot. And obviously the images are closer to you, so they are also scaled, so it looks like it's scaled up, and anything that is further than you would look smaller. That's just how like normally it looks. But you could see everything just changed. Now even the image is looking bigger, and then the spacing is looking small. So just keep in mind that it is very much dependent on your perspective plus your Z location, and then X location, Y location. Just play around with it, and once you have figured something out, you just need to do is duplicate it until you just have to duplicate it, and that's all you need to do for all your elements like this. And you can get the template. It's very you can get the template today. Usually you would not really need to use the template because it's very much case by case dependent, but you could just get it to test it out, how it looks, how it feels, to get some code as a reference and all. And yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.